Volumes, the only independent bookstore in Northwest Ohio. And we love supporting local authors, local presses. And so we were really excited when Shannon and Curtis reached out about participating tonight in the launch for Ghosts and Ghouls. So thanks for letting me join in, and I'm excited.
Thanks, Denise. And I was going to say, Denise has so many great events at her stores. If you don't know, like she always hosts author events. I think she has like 4 or 5 different book clubs that meet every month. So like no matter what you're looking for, I think she has like a place that you can kind of contribute and you know, to the community. So it's really a great store. I just want to say thanks, Denise, for helping to host this tonight.
Thank you.
So now I'll turn it over to Curtis Dieter. He is the founder, I guess, of Rust and Glass. So I will let him take it over from here.
Hey, everybody. Like Shannon said, thank you so much for being here. Every little thing that we can do to help support the local creative community goes a really long way. And that was sort of the main purpose behind me starting of Rust and Glass. I am an author, fantasy, science fiction, stuff like that. And I really wanted to do something to provide the Northwest Ohio area a venue for artists, photographers, authors, poets, really everybody. I mean, we have a couple people in our fledgling growing community who do miniatures, who do sort of junk to treasure type stuff. Really, just anybody who's out there creating things. We wanted to provide not only a publication opportunity for people, we also wanted to provide a closely knit community, like-minded individuals, a place where people can promote themselves, where they can learn and grow, where they can sort of, engage in other people's creative journeys, things like that. So that's why I wanted to start a Rust and Glass. I sort of started putting it together in 2019, about midway through 2019. We had a newborn. So I was kind of in a newborn exhaustion haze putting it all together, but it was nice because I could sort of just set Theo next to me and work a little bit, do some planning. I officially launched the first quarterly magazine. We do an electronic magazine every quarter. I officially launched that January 15th. We did 4 of those in 2020. And I always had much bigger plans than just doing an online magazine. So to sort of start a lot of other projects rolling, I decided kind of last minute, honestly, to put together a Halloween anthology. It started as a little contest I was going to do for the 4th issue. And, I got enough quality submissions. I got a lot of really nice stories that I thought sort of blended together really cohesively. That I decided to put it together as a print publication. I think it turned out really well. The cover was done by one of our local artists. We included, some poetry, a little bit of photography, a couple prints of other artwork and things like that. So it's got a little bit of everything in it. It is a short read, but I think it's a really nice short read. It's I'm going to call it horror, but it's not explicitly graphic. It's not, crude just for crude, just to be crude. It's almost kid friendly. Most of them, some of them, mine probably isn't at the end, but a lot of them are kind of kid friendly, and it explores a lot of sort of aspects of Halloween and spookiness and horror from, your regular witches and vampires like Shannon's story, or it explores sort of, mental health issues that can be kind of spooky and kind of challenging and that sort of. It's got a little bit of everything, I think, for people, and it's all local. So I think that's the greatest part about it.
Great, thanks, Curtis. Mm-hmm. And so if anybody out there is someone who is creative, maybe you're an artist or photographer or a writer, you have another issue coming up, right? Pretty soon for the first quarter. of 21?
Yeah, absolutely. So the next issue, we have there's themes on the issues, but they're not really themes. They're just sort of titles, and some of the stuff in it sort of goes with it. The next one, submission deadline is December 15th, and it is going to be called Hunger. Any sort of way that word, is interpreted by you is perfectly fine. But we're open to submissions of all kinds: poetry, artwork, short fiction. Really, short fiction usually works best, just because if I get a story that ends up being 30 pages, that's going to be 90% of the magazine. But one of the cool things we do, sort of to complement the original work, is we do artist spotlights. I do a section called From the Airwaves, where we've had interviews with bands, or we have a couple people who do podcasts, or one of the Toledo public radio channels. We did an interview with Alan Goldsmith from one of the radio channels, which was really cool. So it's kind of a mixture of everything local and everything that really makes the Northwest Ohio creative community awesome. So if you know anybody, we have a ton of opportunities coming down the line. We've got a small active community on Facebook. We'd love to have you a part of that. If you know anybody else, invite them our way, and let's make this thing grow.
Awesome. I really love the sense that you're kind of bringing people together, when right now I think everybody kind of feels so far apart, right? So it's kind of, a nice thing to think about, and really creating kind of a really great space for local artists in the community to really share and promote their work, I think.
Oh yeah, and that community aspect of it was really the biggest piece of it when I was sort of conceptualizing everything. I was a writer who has a very supportive wife, but who isn't necessarily, she doesn't write. She's creative, but she doesn't do anything in the arts community really. So it was an opportunity to provide that community for, honestly, other people and myself. It's something that I saw was not necessarily missing, but something that can always be strengthened. So.
Great. Is there anybody else that's a contributor on the call right now that would like to share anything you want about your work, really, if it's in the anthology or maybe another project that you're working on? Do you see anybody, Curtis?
I'm scrolling through it right now. Jennifer?
Yeah, I'm here.
Hi.
Yeah. So I wrote the story The Mirror. I go by my maiden name, Jennifer Lytle, in my writing work. But yeah, along the lines of the community, that really resonates with me. I'm a fairly young writer. I've been writing for a couple years, but living in Toledo, I haven't had a very good writing community. So it was very awesome to get this work published in Rust of Glass, and I really enjoy it. I love it, what you guys are doing. So yeah, that's great.
Cool. Thank you for being a part of it.
Yeah, of course.
It's still pretty young. This is our first year, and I was excited to see how quickly it grew with all the constraints that we have right now.
Yeah.
So I'm glad that you've been a part of that.
Yeah, no, it was great, and my husband was like super excited about it too.
Cool.
He's like, "That's awesome! Like this community's great," and he's a creative too, but he's not a writer, So yeah, it's really nice to have a community like this, and it's awesome.
Great. Well, thank you. Oh my gosh, it's so nice to meet you. I've read your work in there, and now I can put a face to the work. So that's awesome.
Yeah. Mine, I guess isn't really horror. Like I find a lot of inspiration from folklore and ancient stories, that kind of stuff. So yeah, writing The Mirror was kind of like just a little passion project of mine. So I enjoyed writing it.
I say horror. It's not really a horror anthology. Yeah.
It's all
a lot of what I write is kind of eclectic and hard to sort of put in a box, and I think that's going to be a big part of the Rust and Glass publications as well. Is you might not necessarily be able to define this in a conventional sense, but it does work well with everything else that people put forth to us.
Jennifer, do you know Kristen? It's Prout now. I think it was Chef before.
The name sounds familiar.
Did you work at Barnes and Noble?
I used to.
Okay,
Yes,
I think
yes.
she worked with you at Barnes and Noble. When she saw the book in the store, she's like, "Hey, I know this person."
Yeah, I know her. I was like, the name sounds so familiar, but yeah, once you said Barnes and Noble, yeah. So.
That's so cool to hear somebody say when they saw the book in the store. That was very humbling.
Yeah, it was awesome. That's cool. Very cool. I love Kirsten, so that's great.
Great. Was there anybody else on the call that Curtis? Just Jennifer.
I think so.
Okay.
I'm kind of flipping through.
No worries. We actually have a super fun activity. If you guys know me, you know I am enthusiastic and I love participation. I see my friend Linda, like she's on my first screen, like laughing right now, which is fantastic. So, so Curtis wrote a story, a short story for us, and it is a spooky Halloween story called Poultrygeist. But here's the catch. We mad-libbed it up. You guys done Mad Libs? Probably like years ago, right? So we are gonna, in the spirit of community and being creative, we are gonna do this Mad Lib activity. So if you're not familiar with Zoom, there is a chat button down at the bottom. So you guys will see something pop up from me. It says welcome. So what we're gonna do is we are going to go through, there's probably like 7 or 8 different categories. I will say the categories. Everybody else type a response. And now if you know anything about Mad Libs, the more outrageous, the more funny your answer is, the more great this story is going to be. Well, first of all, it's great anyways, right? Because Curtis wrote it, and I think you guys will love it. But I think that this will add like a wacky element to this story. So here I will go through, and Denise is actually going to help. Denise and Curtis can both help me like call out ones, and I will write them down. I printed old school, printed this off for everybody.
Clipboard and everything. I like it.
We go low tech when it's high stakes. All right. So the very first category is an adjective. So an adjective, right, is a word used to describe a noun. So like wet dog, wet would be the adjective.
Linda said the same one I came up with, fluffy. And we've got a silly from Melissa.
Silly, good. Just take a second. Right, yep. And Denise, you can call them out. Whatever one sounds good.
Slippery. Rough, hot. What are you doing? You can wait if you want. Come up with an adjective. Annoying.
Oh, that's a good one.
Cold. Describes a verb. Or no, sorry, describes a noun, adjective. Blue.
All right, Denise, what's calling to you here out of all those? I'll let you pick
I think annoying is a good one.
Okay, it's going down. All right, the next category is an alcoholic beverage.
Ooh. We got a scotch, a Mai Tai.
Jennifer was fast with the scotch.
Got one right next to me, so I was like, oh, perfect.
That's a martini. Pina colada, Jim Beam. Oh, very specific. Jim Beam, Jameson, wine. I don't know any alcoholic beverages. You don't know any?
What about the one that turns into a bomb? Is that called?
The one that turns into a bomb? They don't
Curtis, was anything jumping out to you there? I'll let you pick this one, Curtis.
I like pina colada for this.
All right, the next one, a number. A number, pick a number, any number.
9.
With the pina colada.
7 came up 3 times.
Wow.
That's
With the pina colada, do we have to sing it?
Yes.
24,
Yes,
3,
okay.
100, oh, 1,048, 144. What should you have done, buddy?
5. The answer is
5.
always 5.
Okay.
Oh, 3 came
I thought the answer was always 42. Anybody, any Hitchhiker fans?
Yep.
I don't know. Mr. B says it.
Mr. B.
All right, guys. What one's calling to you, Denise? I'll let you go for this one.
Well, 7 came up the most, so let's go with 7.
Are you sure?
No, you want me to switch? How about 144? Looks good to me too.
All right. That may be a little bit better. All right, next one. Remember, we're Thanksgiving themed. How about a kitchen utensil? A kitchen utensil. Any one you want.
Whip.
Fork.
Somebody else had it.
I see a couple basters.
Couple whisks. Fork.
Curtis, what are you thinking here? Carving knife. We're getting violent really fast here.
Carving knife definitely ups the stakes a little bit. Pun definitely intended, although it's not turkey. But I think we should go with carving knife. I'm gonna go with baster, but.
All right. Another number, please. Pick a number, any number.
4. 9. 9.
Now you guys are choosing really large numbers, I see.
Just like when your fingers still on the numbers.
2020.
Oh, it came up close up. 2020. Yeah, that's a scary number.
2020.
These ones aren't working.
And good to you.
We have to turn them lock on.
About infinity.
Pet your dog.
Beep.
Did you see a number, Denise?
Oh, I'm sorry. I think we should go with 2020. And we're doing
Okay.
a scary story. 2020 should be in
Sure.
there.
All right. We have 3 more left. Thanksgiving dessert.
Ooh.
Everybody likes dessert. My son just made his first batch of cookies with the grandparents today. We got some pictures of it while we were at work. That was a really nice thing to see. And then we got cookies brought home, so that was even better.
Yeah.
Sweet potato pie.
Mm.
A lot of pies. Curtis, what do you think?
Let's go with sweet potato pie. I like sweet potato pie.
All right, a noun. Person, place, or thing.
That opens up a lot of opportunity.
Kitten.
Myrtle Beach. I only have it on like speaker view, but I'm gonna guess that my son said that because my husband and son are on here somewhere.
Cooper Petey.
It doesn't tell me.
So this will be a plural noun, I guess.
Oh.
Carving knife again. Melissa's like the carving knife.
It needs to get in the story.
Curtis, what do you think right here?
Barbed wire fence. Melissa's being very dark.
I think we go with cows.
Cows,
I like
yeah.
that best in there.
All right, last one, an adjective. Remember, it's one of those description words.
Funny.
Adjective describes a noun.
Old.
My 14-year-old thinks we should use old.
Mira says we should fluffy.
Curtis, what do you think here?
Let me see. I'm gonna go with soupy.
Soupy. I thought that was a good one. Whoever wrote that one. I saw that pop up. All right, y'all ready? This is a story created by us. All right, we're mad libbed it up. All right. So, Poultrygeist. You guys know there was a lot of discussion on this title here. So, I hope you enjoy.
Yeah,
They didn't tell our family about the burial grounds of our new house was built on before they all came over for Thanksgiving. We just ran out of time. You know how those things go. Besides, it didn't seem important. Thanksgiving 2019 started out like every other Thanksgiving. Little Joey did everything he could to avoid Grandma's annoying lipstick kiss. But in the end, Grandma got her way. Aunt Pamela stumbled through the door, and Uncle George had to all but carry her the rest of the way. Too many pina coladas, he said, heading off to the den to watch the Lions game with the rest of the boys. One by one, our relatives showed up until the card table was overflowing with food. Sheila's green bean casserole, Papa's candy yams, and Carl's new wife's bacon and chive stuffing, mashed potatoes made fresh out of the box by the cousins, and of course, the 144-pound turkey roasted to perfection. It was like something off a Hallmark card. Then everything went weird. It all started in the den, with the guys' mugs exploding and playful laughter following by retreating footsteps. All the burners in the kitchen flipped on full blast, burning Ma's gravy and bursting the cranberries. The drawers opened and closed on their own, spilling utensils and silverware. Aunt Denise slipped on a carving knife and landed face first in the apple pie. The kids thought that was just hilarious. Her $2,020 perm disagreed. When all the utensils zoomed away into the parlor where Aunt Pamela was passed out, we finally admitted something was wrong. When they started piling up all around her, knives and all, we knew we had to get everyone out of the house. "What's for dinner?" little Joey asked. Well, dinner was busy at the moment. The dishes were spinning around each other in a tornado towards the ceiling, flinging mashed potatoes and sweet potato pie everywhere. Poor Uncle George got a full face of 7-layer dip, and Papa nearly drowned in ranch dressing. By the time we rounded everyone up, the lights were flickering on and off. The doors were swinging open and slamming shut, and the cows were going absolutely haywire. Any minute, it seemed like the house might implode on itself. It did, as a matter of fact. Just as we got everyone outside into the yard, our brand new house began to shake and rock violently until it twisted onto itself, disappearing into a single pinpoint. With a blast of soupy air, it was gone. "Did anyone get Aunt Pamela out?" little Joey asked. We all looked at each other, but no one said a word. Written by Curtis Dieter.
And
you guys should give yourself a round of applause because I thought that went fantastic. All right. Well, I hope you guys enjoyed that. I the thumbs up. Yes. If you're a Zoom person, you can see there's a reaction. There's a smiley face button along the bottom. You can give Curtis like a round of applause or a thumbs up if you if you feel like it. Yeah, there you go, Denise. So we just have one more thing. We just wanted to really say, thank you for joining our event. So we actually have a giveaway of 2 copies of the book tonight. So here's how we're going to do it. There is a trivia question. So I will say the question, and the first one, and we're going to play it Price is Right style, which means you have to get closest to the actual answer without going over. So I will, are you guys ready? You guys ready for the question? Sure. Maybe? Yeah? I have the answer. So you can take a shot. Although I'd have to say, if you are related to me, as in my husband's son, my in-laws, or my mom, y'all are already getting a book. So You can still take a guess, but you're not going to win. All right. So here's the question. How many turkeys are eaten every Thanksgiving? Take a guess. How many turkeys are eaten every Thanksgiving?
Are we writing them?
Yeah, why don't you type them in the chat? And that way we can keep track of it a little bit better. But take your best guess. Answer's always 42, right, Curtis?
Oh, yeah. I honestly don't remember the answer. I think I wrote it down somewhere.
I was just going to ask you if you knew the answer. I wrote down the answer, so
Yep,
we're good.
I wrote it down.
I just need somebody to go through and figure
all
out
of them.
Oh.
I mean, that's correct. Okay.
Anybody else want to take a guess? I'll give you another second or so to think about it. I was going to say there's no wrong answers, but I mean, there are some wrong answers. I always tell that to my students. There's no wrong answers. Just tell me your opinion. All right. You guys ready? This is a call for So I know you all are dying to know how many turkeys are eaten every Thanksgiving. Well, the answer is 46 million. So Curtis can go through, or Denise can go through. Curtis can go through the chat.
Justin was the closest and the only one kind of in the ballpark, but if we're doing
that's my husband. He doesn't get it.
Okay,
no,
never mind.
Disqualified.
So then the next
and he was over. It's Price is Right style. You can't.
The next closest would be Kim with 5 million, I think.
Woo!
Yeah, Kim.
Now, is that 42 million like around the world or just in the U.S.?
That was the United States. Ooh. Like for our American Thanksgiving, how many turkeys?
Apparently he said 40.
I was full of trivia the other day when I was looking this up. I think here was a fun one, which we did not use, but I think the largest turkey that was ever raised was like something like 87 pounds. Can you imagine
that? Yeah.
That's got nothing on our 144-pound turkey, though.
All right, last question, or this is the other question, and Curtis is going to choose a winner for this, so be creative. Do you want to explain the question, Curtis?
Yeah, so in the spirit of kind of what Rust and Glass is doing with supporting artists and writers and stuff, I wanted to ask, I think, is everybody here from the area? Mostly, yeah. So what I want to ask is if you know any writers or artists or anybody in the community, who is your favorite, basically creative in the Northwest Ohio that you know? And I'm just going to pick somebody at random.
And three of them
Jennifer.
on this call. I was going to say.
And also, don't forget to tell them about Rust and Glass and let them know to come over and see us on Facebook for that's where right now I'm doing most of our updates and things like that. So if that's something you think they might be interested in, send them our way. So Shannon, who on here is family that you said is disqualified?
Although Justin, my husband.
Just Justin on there? Okay.
That answer, yeah. That was such a sweet answer, though. Those guys are like in the other room, doors closed.
Rooting you on, yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Chelsea, yeah, that's a good one, Melissa, yeah.
She was actually, so when I first started Rust and Glass, I made a list of people I wanted to reach out to. I did some research because I knew I had to start somewhere. I didn't know where to start. And I was reading the Toledo City paper, and I actually saw her name on there, and I was going to reach out to her. I just haven't done that yet. So give me just a moment here.
And Mindy McGinnis, she's a good one too. If we ever get to do a teen book festival in non-COVID days, right?
Oh my goodness. Like, yeah, at this point, it's like, it's never going to happen. I don't know.
Maybe 2021, 2022.
Yeah, I think 2021's already out. Like, I mean, because you got to book somewhere to do it, and nobody wants to book anything at this point.
Right.
2022, Denise.
Yeah, 2022. It's got a good ring to it.
Yeah, I think it's been a really difficult year. Well, it has been a difficult year for everybody, but I think especially for artists and writers and the venues that support artists and writers. And one of my biggest sort of side passions is absolutely actors, theater, and musicians. The Northwest Ohio area has so many great musicians, and it's just, places like Facebook are now cutting down on musicians' abilities to go live and play concerts for people and stuff like that, and making it really, really hard to sort of be innovative and still active with your musical communities and the theater folks and that stuff. So every little bit of support you can provide for the creative community goes a long way. So let me see how many answers we've got. 1, 2, 3, 4, 6. We're going to go ahead and do this. And Melissa Warner, number 5, I will send along a copy for you. What I will need, I just signed both of these. I'm going to have Shannon sign them too. What I'll need is, I don't know if you have an email address, if you want to email me.
I can give you both their contacts. Yeah.
Okay, perfect. That works.
Well, or you can bring them to the store. We see Melissa quite regularly at the store.
Okay. Perfect.
We can get it to her.
I'll get these over for Shannon then. Funny story, actually. We found out when Shannon and I first had a meeting, we found out that she lives like 8 doors down from me, which was kind of an interesting coincidence. Serendipity, right? So that's pretty cool. So I'll get these to her, get her to sign them, and we'll get them out to you. And
perfect. Well, gosh, oh my gosh, I'm really glad that you all came to this. This just meant so much to me. And I always like to, support local artists. And I think what Curtis is doing with Of Rust and Glass is amazing. What Denise does at her store is amazing. So I just wanted to share that with everybody. Is there anything else that Curtis or Denise would like to say before we end our little release party?
Well, does anybody have any questions or anything that they want to talk about, or any questions about the store or about Of Rust and Glass or anything really?
So where can we get a copy?
Right now it is, while I'm exploring my options, it's on Amazon right now, or I think Denise has a couple copies in her store. So
cool.
And we kept it, it's a small book. If you see, it's not big, so we kept it as cheap as we possibly could. So I think there's 2 versions of it. There's a black and white version and a color version. The black and white is $6.99 and the color version is $10.99. There's also an ebook, which I think is $1.99 or $2.99. I can't remember, one of the two. I put that one, I ended up releasing that one much earlier, so I've sort of forgotten about the ebook. But
all right. Well,
I have one question for Curtis. So if somebody wanted to submit something to Of Rust and Glass, right? Did I say that right? What's the best way for them to go about it?
So the best way is, I try to be pretty open to any way. I mean, with the social media and stuff, I try to be open when people reach out. But the easiest way is email. It is coordinator@ofrustandglass.com. That's the easiest way for me to keep things organized and make sure I get back to people and things like that. A lot of times, especially with Facebook, a lot of times it'll bury messages from people who I'm not friends with and things like that. And I miss things. So.
Thank you. I'm talking with it muted.
It is of rust and glass. So a little
Have a
side
fantastic
note.
website. Yeah.
A side note. I spent a long time trying to come up with a name for the project, and I had, I think, 3 or 4 notebook papers front and back with just scribble all over it. And I landed on Of Rust and Glass because I think it's really suited to the area where, you know, we faced not only Toledo, but a lot of these places in the Midwest, manufacturing towns, have faced a lot of hardships with, you know, the collapse of the steel industry and the auto industry and things like that. And you know, everybody always tries to refer to us as the Rust Belt, but we're way more than that. And I don't think we should let that define us. And Toledo being the glass city, you know, we can't escape the rust portion of it, but we also have the glass portion of it. So I thought I thought those played really nicely off each other, and that was sort of how I picked that.
I think it's a great contribution. Like the title itself is just like a great title for the area. So actually, when I saw the title, I was like, that's really perfect.
Thank you. Yeah, it's a good opportunity for like a lot of wordplay and stuff too. I'm going to start doing some shirts and things like that, and I've got some slogans already that I've come up with that utilize it, and I think it works really well. So I'm glad you think so as well. Thank you.
That's cool.
Lauren, how do you say the house pain? The artist there.
Housepian.
Housepian.
Mm-hmm.
Perfect.
But her students called her House of Pain.
House of Pain. I like it.
She does a lot of different things. She's done a couple of books. She does, you know, the little decorative rocks, the painted rocks.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Perrysburg rocks. She's done a lot of those. She has all sorts of things. She does really decorative boards for the garden. She just moves on from one thing to another. A lot of her stuff is at Georgette's and Mommy. I think it's there right now, actually.
Very cool. I'm definitely going to be checking all of these people out and seeing what they're doing. One thing I wanted to move away with of Rust and Glass from is the sort of traditional sense of what art and creativity is, and sort of have an opportunity for everyone. One of the guys does miniatures, but the way he paints them is just so incredible. It's basically the Sistine Chapel of you know, Warhammer figurines. So like, he's really a talented artist, but it's not something normally that somebody would bring in and say, hey, check out this guy's art. You know, we have another guy who does photography with Heart Rocks, and does a lot of really just interesting things like that. So I was sort of trying to step out of the box a little bit too. So those sound like they would fit in really well.
Mm-hmm. I know Kathy's done some classes at the library on encaustic art.
Okay.
With wax, and it was. I took the class. It was really cool.
Very cool. I'll have to check it out. I sure do miss the libraries. That's one thing I can't wait to have back. So I'm just writing a couple of things down here because I forget things constantly. All right, so I think that's all I have, Denise. Anything? All right. Thank you guys all so much again. It's really humbling to have people here and people that are interested in this kind of stuff besides just me. Thank you, Shannon, for all your help. A lot of the stuff that we're doing with this and with other things I wouldn't be able to do without you know, help from people like you. So it really means a lot.
All right. Well, thank you everybody again. And we'll keep you updated. I think if you go to Curtis's website, there's a newsletter you can sign up for with information about the latest issues and submission guidelines and all that jazz. So keep in touch.
Thanks so much, Shannon.
Thanks, Shannon.
Thanks, guys. You guys all have a good night.
You
You
too.
too. Thank you so much.
Hey.
Hey, bud.